So this is the Alien Wicked, and this is
The Ducky Gwen. Welcome to another installment of the Ducky Alien Files. Tonight we're going to be doing our second creepypasta reading, and it is called Vito the Salesman by a gentleman by the name of Aaron Breiterman.
yep.
Prior to recording this video, I skimmed over the creepypasta, and when I got to the end, it listed as Reddit, so I had to click on the link to see what the hubbub was about. And sure enough, it has versions of the creepypasta on there as well.
Okay, can you send them to me on Discord so I can see what they look like?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you. Let's see this guy. Oh, he looks interesting.
Yeah, he does.
That's cool. Let's see, visit site. Okay, let's see what the Vito dude looks like. I didn't expect him to have. Okay, let's see, post. Let's see what. Look, I think the guy in the gas mask is Vito.
Well, who knows? That
Okay.
might just be his cover photo and not the character specifically, so let's keep that in mind.
Yes, let's keep that in mind.
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to imagine this Vito the Salesman as like one of those typical salesmen we see every day, except more scarier. That's how I picture Vito the Salesman. How about you?
I'm thinking the same thing.
Makes sense. Anyways, without further ado, we are going to be doing our reading of Vito the Salesman.
Vito's the salesman. Okay, let's get it on.
Alrighty, so we're gonna turn on this share screen thingamajig. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Alrighty.
Glasses on.
Alright, there we go. Here is Vito the Salesman, and the estimated reading time is 14 minutes.
14 minutes. Yeah.
Here we go. Crash! Thomas nearly jumped out of his skin at the waitress, suddenly dropping her tray of glassware a mere 5 feet from his booth. The sound of jingling glass shards and metallic forks bouncing around could be heard long after the accident initially occurred, as they bounced around wildly. This stung Thomas's ears like a swarm of gnats, forcing him to wince in displeasure. He looked up at her, very annoyed, and clutched at his chest instinctively. She chuckled it off with the playful hand gesture, uttering simply, "Sorry about that, dear," before leaving to get a broom. Great, he scoffed to himself. The only reason Thomas bothered coming into the dreary cafe in the first place was to try to get some reading done while enjoying a never-ending stream of mediocre coffee. Now, it would take him time to get back into his novel. He tried in vain to re-engross himself in the story he had been enjoying only moments ago. However, the light reflecting off the shattered glassware to his right prevented him from doing so, as it shined straight into his eyes. He let out a sigh and closed his book, placing it on the table. When he did so, he caught the eye of a strange-looking man staring back from the booth across from him.
Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
You can read this paragraph.
Now, this naturally caught him off guard. Thomas had deliberately chosen the booth in the far corner of the diner so he would be alone. Perhaps this man was waiting for someone, he thought. He turned to look outside the window, expecting to see someone approaching the restaurant to see the strange man. When he did so, however, he saw nobody behind him. Okay, Thomas thought. How is he? So he's looking at me. He turned right back around. To his surprise, the man was gone. He was no longer at the booth across from him. "Good morning, sir." The man stood directly towards the edge of the booth near Thomas.
"Okay," he shouted, once again clutching his chest in reflex. "Oh, my apologies, sir. I didn't mean to frighten you. I am but a simple traveling salesman. I was wondering if you might spare me a moment of your time." "Look, buddy," he retorted, sounding audibly pissed beyond belief. "I ain't buying from you, alright? Just leave me be." "Oh, but I must insist, sir. The offer I have prepared for you today is simply too good to pass up without at least hearing the offer. I would just feel terrible if you weren't at least made privy to my product before you politely told me to off."
"Okay." Thomas looked up at the man, perplexed by that last line. He spoke like someone from a used car commercial, undeniably
Disingenuous
in his projected positivity. That was the last line on the air.
That last line had an
air of condensation in it, yet he smiled the entire time he did so. The man projected the power through his cador and mannerisms, as though he had performed this speech thousands of times. And Thomas was like any other client for him. It was though
he were child's
play, and the man knew exactly what to say to get what he wanted. "I'll make a deal, sir. If I haven't caught your attention by the time our lovely waitress returns and cleans up the mess, you won't even tell me to leave. I'll depart on my own accord."
"My turn. Now calm down." Thomas finally had a chance to look the man over. He wore a pitch-black fedora with a stripe of purple encircling the base. Subsequently, a near black business suit with a purple tie. He had visible wrinkles along his cheeks and under his eyes, which were the only identifiable sign of the salesman's age. Thomas estimated this to be in his mid-40s. His shoes were shined to near perfection and contrasted drastically with the shards of glass beneath them. In his right hand, he held a briefcase. The briefcase bore an odd-looking golden sphinx-like symbol at its center and was chained to the man's wrist. Honestly, I thought that particular salesman would be far more older than 40. I estimated that it would be between like late 50s to early 60s at the least, and at the latest 70s to 80s. So
okay,
I find that a bit interesting.
With an odd look, "I can see you're thinking it over, sir," he said, interrupting Thomas's thoughts. "That shows me you're intrigued, and that's all I need." He sat sitting across from him. Thomas went to raise a finger in protest, but it was too late. The man sat comfortably on the bench, his fingers interlocked, resting at the top of the table. He stared at Thomas with hungry eyes and equally hungry smile. Thomas felt like a seal being stared at by a great white shark, like he didn't have a choice in the matter, even though he clearly did. He felt paralyzed in his seat, powerless to fight back against the man's charms and vernacular.
Wow, that is one weird salesman. Oh boy.
Yep.
"Now then," he began. "We've got approximately 52 seconds before Dana arrives to pick up this mess of hers. So allow me to cut straight to the point so I can get your attention before that happens. I'm a salesman, as I said before, and I am sure you could figure that out from a mile away. What I guarantee you have not been able to deduce, however, is the unique catalog of services I provide to my clients."
Thomas eyed the man suspiciously. Look, man, I don't swing that way
If
that's
that's
your goodness. No, sir. The man throwing up a hand, chuckling loudly. I assure you, this is not the kind of proposal
unless you want it to be.
he wanted to be, he said in a sarcastic tone, leaning and giving a wink. Thomas stared back, unamused. Kidding, I'm kidding. Jeez, I'm still working at my stand-up routine, but I don't think that dead in the water. Well, I was saying I offer a very unique number of services to my clients. The one I have prepared for you is tailor made for your predicament. How long did you go to the doctor? How long did the doctor give you? Thomas, 6 months at the most, right? It has been two since the diagnosis. Things aren't looking so hot, aren't they?
Thomas felt his stomach jump up in his throat, and a deep chill ran down his spine. Before he had time to process either of these feelings, the waitress returned with a broom and dustpan. He watched her walk up to his left side and began to clean out of the corner of his eye, but he never directly looked at her. He never took his gaze off the mysterious man. He just sat there staring at him as he tried desperately to figure out how he could have possibly known that about him. Thomas had no family. He had confided the details of his condition to nobody other than the doctor and a single priest. So how could this man possibly know that about him? Has this guy been following me? What else does he know about me? Could I...
Thomas, the man shouted, interrupting his thoughts yet again. Huh? He replied. The lovely waitress asked you a question, Thomas. It's not polite to ignore someone when they're speaking to you, let alone not look at them. He turned his gaze to the waitress. I'm sorry. What was the question? I just wanted to apologize again for frightening you earlier. I was just wondering if you still need a refill on your coffee, sir. He looked back at the man who now had his elbows on the table. How rude is that?
Wow.
And was resting his chin in interlocking hands. Well, Thomas, a fresh cup of coffee sounds good right about now, doesn't it? Turning back to the woman, he muttered, no thank you, and she nodded and walked off with shards of glass in her bag, leaving the two of them alone. Okay.
Yeah, it's never really polite to put your elbows on the table, but even so,
I never did it.
So how it has it.
I never did it. That's just the dingbat thing.
Wow, so lucky, man. I tend to do that out of habit on my own personal time, even though I shouldn't. It's just a natural habit for me. Wow.
Well, we're only human. I don't expect. Okay,
yeah. No, I have your attention, don't I? He said, curling his lips into a mischievous smirk. Who the f*** are you? Thomas retorted. I already told you, sir, I am but a simple traveling salesman. I live for the thrill of the sale. I make my living wandering from place to place and providing my services to those in need I encounter all over the world. And you, my friend, are in dire need of my services. I assume you'd be more comfortable talking to me if you got my name, though. So you can just call me Vito. Okay, Vito. How do you know about my situation? Oh, I know much more than just your situation, Thomas. Uh-oh, this guy's giving me stalker vibes here.
Yes, this is pure stalker.
Your turn.
The mention of his name once again sent chills down his spine. He never told the man his name, nor the waitress call him by it earlier. Obviously, I know your name. I know about your condition. What did the doctor tell you exactly? That only 3 out of 100,000 cancer patients get heart tumors a year. Lucky you, I am right. Thomas stared blankly at him, back at him, now more so than that. I know he momentarily, as if stroking his chin, making it seem like he was struggling to find the next word's blood type. Last name, mother's name, favorite movie, what job you had when you were 23 years old, and I know the name of the hooker you were with
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, he retorted, crossing his arms and feigning an aura of confidence. The man cracked his knuckles before speaking back up. B negative, Taylor, Veronica, Robocop, which personally, I think is a badass choice. You were a cashier at the supermarket for way too long, since the boss didn't need any additional managers. And her name was Lily. I also know about all the sick and depraved things you did to that poor woman, Thomas. I can't say I blame you, though. If I knew I was kicking the bucket, I would want to do as much as possible myself. Personally, I've always wanted to get someone to... Alright, I get it. You know a lot about me. So what? Is this some kind of scam? Are you trying to blackmail me? Blackmail? Vito sounded audibly offended at that notion. Jesus, Thomas, who do you take me for? This is no blackmail. And I assure you, it is in no way a scam. I simply want to sell you something.
Okay. Yeah, right, he said, sipping his coffee. You just want to sell me something. That's why you've been spying on me for God knows how long. I haven't been spying on you, Thomas. I just simply know these things. It's of my many talents. One of the perks of being me and doing what I do, you could say. Selling stuff lets you know everything about a person. Nah. Something's not right here. What kind of salesman are you exactly? With a slight curl of his lips, he slowly paced the briefcase and was sitting on the bench onto the table. Turn it around so the opening faced Thomas. One of a kind. Before Thomas could respond, Vito
rotated
the dials on the case lock that read 805, unlatched it, exposing its contents to him. What lay before Thomas in the case was something he could have never predicted. Never in a million years would he have guessed the cargo of this man was carrying with him all this time, nor was he
guessed.
He would have guessed that such an item was attainable, let alone comprehensible to exist. When the salesman opened the case, Thomas found it inside everything. Okay.
Galaxies of varying sizes and brightness spun beautifully within its padded interior. Creatures whose origins were known to no man seemed trapped within it and beckoned upward towards Thomas as they stretched their arms as if asking for help or freedom. Mysterious doorways that hovered all around led to a potential litany of dimensions and worlds. Secrets that philosophers had spent millennia pondering, to no avail at last, had answers. The meaning of life, the truth of the afterlife. Are we alone in the universe? The winning lottery for next month's Powerball. Who is gonna win this year's Super Bowl? What happened to Amelia Earhart? They all lay within this briefcase of eternity. Thomas was made known to him secrets that he never knew he wanted the answers to in the first place. He saw his entire life laid out before him in the small rectangle. The past, present, and future. Christmas Carol much? Thomas saw the remaining time he had left to live. They were going to be miserable and filled with fear. He was going to die sometime in his sleep in precisely 2 months and 13 days from now. Nobody would be at his funeral. Nobody would remember him, save for the waitress who would have gotten used to his daily visits to the cafe by that point. She wouldn't remember him fondly, however. She would remember him as some cranky old bastard. That would be his legacy. The only lasting trace of his existence. The only mark he would ever make on the world. Damn. Couldn't be more brutal than that.
Thomas felt his sanity slipping. His lip quivered uncontrollably as two darted wet shot down the middle of his face and caught it onto the tabletop. What is this? He finally managed to whimper out. The salesman's lip curled up even more like a serpentine-like smile. He knew that now he had Thomas hooked. This is my friend. Everything that was, is, and will be. With those last words softly retorted the briefcase, now facing Thomas. The crazy thing is this isn't even the most fun toy I own. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's freaking cool, but I have way more interesting stuff at my place. Don't get your hopes up though, my friend. This isn't what I came to sell you. This is to get your attention. Thomas said nothing, simply stared down at the briefcase and tried desperately to
comprehend
what had just been shown. Hello, Vito, snapping his fingers. Thomas's face. Aw, damn it! Don't tell me I fried
another sap's brain.
I'm here. Thomas choked out. I am here. If you say so, he said. Said back. That is what you are proven. I digress. If, as you can see, I can have just access just to a little more of your typical salesman. I offer a wide range of products and unique services to select people. On the top of that, I'm very picky about who I provide my services to. I wasn't joking in a bad taste earlier when I called you lucky, Thomas. Running into me is going to save your life. Thomas looked up at the salesman with wide eyes. You mean you can cure me now?
Of course I can. Jesus, did you not see what I have at my disposal? The cool-ass universe in a box I carry around. Curing you would be all too simple for someone like me. But where's the fun and excitement in that? Why stop at just curing you? I was thinking of a more unique product. Something a little more lasting? Thomas sat back and raised an inquisitive eyebrow. As you and I both saw in the case, your life has been, well, I hate to say it, but it's been pretty damn pathetic, buddy. Sure, I could fix you up and send you on your merry way back to your life of mediocrity, but that would just be a disservice to you. Frankly, it would also be a waste of my talents. The best of your years are already behind you, and at most you'll live what? Till you're 60? Great! The all-knowing mystical salesman cured my cancer and brought me an extra 10 years to live. Boring? No. Thomas, what I want to offer you is a second chance at life, the chance to make something useful of yourself. What I have for sale today, the product I want to offer you is... He leaned inward, ensuring nobody could hear him, and whispered, immortality.
Wow.
They sat there silently for a few moments. After that, analyzing each other, Thomas searching for signs of danger and Vito searching for signs of weakness. Like a mental chess game, they appeared to be thinking through all the intricacies of the proposition offered. An average man would have laughed off the notion as a joke. At that moment, however, Thomas was not just an average man. The contents of that case had shattered his worldview and proved to him that this salesman truly did possess powers far beyond his comprehension. If this was a scam, it was the most intricate and multi-webbed scam ever conceived. Why him? Thomas wondered to himself. Why does this man want to make a deal with me of all people? What does he want from me? I can see you thinking it through, Vito said, interrupting his thoughts once again. You're thinking through the intricacies of why you, right? How How did you know? Your turn.
Hello, all-knowing salesman here. Have we met before? He interrupted, joking to himself. Plus, I have this conversation around
1,000 times with
1,000 times different clients all over the earth and from the cosmos. This wasn't the only transaction where the question arises, so allow me to put your mind at ease. Why would I bestow this unique gift on someone as insignificant as you? Well, it's as simple as this. We just happen to be in the same room today. Luckily for you, the stipulation of selling to you what would benefit me in particular. This leads me to other caveat you're pondering. Payment, right? Don't worry, I see you're racking your brain, trying to make what someone like me could possibly ask of you. Well, I'm not going to ask you for anything that crazy, just a tiny thing that soon will become irrelevant to your newfound eternity. All I want in exchange for you being immortal is your car. Okay.
Whoa. Thomas tilted
his head and let
an audible haw.
Audible haw. Is that right? I'd like your car. Thomas might happen to kick the bucket a few miles south from here. I'm currently in the market for a new one. He leaned backwards, gesturing toward the dirt road as he spoke the last line. Why just pull a new car out of your damn briefcase of yours? I mean, I could, but I like your car, Thomas. He said, turning back, pointing a finger at him. Plus, I never made a sale for free. I don't do charity and never will. Gotta give something to get something, you know. It's a matter of principle for me. So, what do you say? Are you really finally ready to make something out of yourself? Are you ready to accept my offer today and become immortal? Oh, who am I kidding? Of course, you're a smart guy. You wouldn't turn down the offer like this now, would you? Thomas sat there in silence for a moment, pondering his thoughts, and began to run wild, conversed with himself, trying to reach a decision. He just wants my car. That's also strange. Everything seems like a big game to this guy, but then, what are you hauling around the universe in the box? I guess everything seemed to be
like a big
game. Big game to this guy, but it's also strange. But then again, when you're hauling around the universe in a box, I guess
everything would seem like a big game to you.
But then again, maybe he really does look like the look of my car. Maybe he wants to help me, but he couldn't unless I exchange some kind of an exchange is made. Or as I thought earlier, he's bored with infinite power and just is f***ing with me to pass the time. Either way, I saw my life turns into, without this man's help, I'm gonna die in 2 months. There's nothing I or the doctor can do about it. The final thought, he felt sense of dread wash over him, tightened his hands in a fist, dug his palms into the palms until the knuckles turned white. He let a deep sigh and spoke. I accept. With those words, the salesman smiled his broadest smile yet. It seems truly shark-like at this point. How do you make the sale? Is there a contract or something? No contract needed, Thomas. believe you have good old-fashioned handshake. My word is bond, my bond, and I trust you. Yours will be too. Plus, nobody likes paperwork. Am I right? So simply place your keys on the table in the case and shake my hand, at which point I will bestow upon you the gift of immortality.
My turn. With that, the man extended his right hand out, sliding the book he had been there to read in the first place to the side. Thomas stared at him for a few tense seconds as he felt his heart begin to pound in his chest. His chest hurt a little. This only heightened his dread and tightened his resolve to live even further. Before he could change his mind, Thomas did as instructed and slowly placed his car keys next to the briefcase in the middle of the table. He eyed Vito's hand cautiously for only a few seconds before reaching out and shaking Vito's hand. Oh boy. In an instant, all that Thomas could see was the darkness. His vision, which was once illuminated by the bright lights of a happy breakfast diner and a strange man, was in one instant taken from him by force. He was now completely surrounded by a sea of black that seemed to smother him from not just all angles outward but inward, as though his spirit were being consumed by it. He could feel nothing, hear nothing, and see nothing. He looked around trying to identify his surroundings, but found nothing but black wherever he looked. There was no rock bottom, no left, no right. It was just an empty black void. He thought he could make out the twinkling of stars far off in the distance, but they were faint and barely visible. Then he looked up. When he did so, he felt a cold chill run down his spine, the first real sensation he had experienced since arriving at this strange realm. When he did, he saw a square-shaped light far up above him like a moon. He reached for it, but it was to no avail. He tried again to touch it, but the warm, inviting light was simply too far away. That's when he noticed that the light was beginning to disappear. From the top, a shadow began to stretch over it in a straight line and slowly cover up the light. At first, Thomas felt nothing in his newfound void. He wasn't even sure if he could feel his own skin, but suddenly he felt a push, then another, then a scrape, then a hand grabbed him, then a hand pushed down atop his head. Thomas began to feel other beings, entities, and people around him rushing and bumping as they, too, attempted to reach for the light as he was. Now frightened beyond all belief and desperate to escape the mysterious strangers, Thomas tried desperately to get a foothold on anything. He kicked around, feeling for anything he could push off of to gain height and escape to the square above, but he found nothing. He reached with all his might as he joined the litany of others, all trying to reach the freedom that lay just above their heads. It was no use. He could only reach and watch as the light closed like a door. He watched it slip away until he was slowly engulfed in total darkness with the rest of his new friends. Wow, your turn.
Vito finished latching up his briefcase and straightened his tie. The wrinkles that once lay under his eyes began to straighten and tighten themselves. He looked like a few years younger than he did a few minutes ago. He had let out a deep sigh and spoke, his polite, charming demeanor. It was an honor to be doing business with you, sir, he said to the husk of a motionless man who was now drooping over the cafe table. Fulfilled our end of the sale and will be taking my leave, and I will be thoroughly enjoying your car. He placed a $20 bill on the table for the waitress and stood up. He straightened his hat, dusted himself off, smirking at the lifeless body. I hope you enjoy your new immortal soul and the eternity you get to spend with it.
Let's read that part together. With 1, 2, 3. Let's read it together.
Okay.
With that,
he exited the cafe,
twirling his newfound
keys with one
finger and whistling aloud.
Then he started up the car north and down the
dusty road.
Okay.
And that's the end. Wow.
I still want what Vito the Salesman looks like.
Yeah, that's left me curious. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the lore is, as of current, unknown, but I believe the story gives you the idea of what you can guess could be the lore.
Yep. I'm just looking him up right now. Vito the Salesman. Images. Oh, it's just a scary looking, what do you call it? Salesman.
Yeah,
So that
uh,
was a little, yeah.
he's kind of like Beetlejuice in a way, but
Oh, yeah.
more normal.
More normal instead of looking like the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how to feel about this. I don't know what to take from it other than, I guess you could say,
It
a,
was like Beetlejuice.
well, the looks aspect of it, that is. But I think what I'm trying to get at was that I believe that this creepypasta is actually a lesson in a way about the dangers of scams and in general
Yes.
multi-level marketing companies, in that the salesman gets the benefits, whereas the customer,
Normal person gets a screw job.
that's right, it gets screwed over and they lose a lot of money. Oh, because you trade off something good for something not so good.
Yes, I've heard of that happening.
Yes. Anyway, with that out of the way, please be sure to check out Aaron Breiterman's Reddit, because there
Yeah.
are some other creepy pastas on his profile, believe it or not. I forgot to get to
Okay.
it too, by the way. But yes, if you guys enjoyed this video, you can feel free to leave a like on the video, comment, then subscribe if you want to see more, and hit the bell button if you're already subscribed so you can get notifications. And we will possibly see you on Saturday with Ducky and the Alien.
Yep.
And possibly because and never know what plans may come up that will impede on the filming
Yeah,
of that. So it has been the case with some of our episodes. The best part is we don't get paid for it, so if we miss a
that's
day or
good.
two, it's not a big deal.
That's right.
And because this is frankly just a hobby that we enjoy doing whenever we get into the
Yeah.
mindset of it.
Yeah.
Before we go off on a tangent, please be sure to stay safe, avoid scams, or do research into any multi level marketing companies that you plan to do business with so you can stay safe and not get screwed. We will see you all next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye for now.